Can you guys all hear me? All right, all right. I love Officer Butler. He is one of the few East Liverpool officers that hasn't had to taser or arrest me. So, give him a round of applause. So, just real quick, can I get a quick show of hands? How many of you have been impacted or encountered through family or whatever means? How many of you have been affected by mental health or substance use? Just a quick show of hands. So, all right, thank you. Yeah, so that's terrifying. I mean, it breaks my heart. You guys are so young and at a formidable age. You have the world at your fingertips. It's sad that you guys have all had to experience those things, and I'm sorry that you've had to deal with that. So my name's Glen McMillin. I supervise the Columbiana County Mobile Crisis Response Team. We're a team of peer supporters. That means we're people with lived experiences, if that's in substance use, mental health, or both. There's a lot of training, a lot of education that goes with it, and a whole lot of experience. So I am a 6-time felon across 3 states. I'm not proud of that. That's how I got here. My final time was I fatally overdosed here in East Liverpool, and I had a lot of good officers that saved my life and brought me back. So now I'm here today because of them. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, grew up in a middle-class family. Don't hold it against me. I did go to Beaver Local. I knew I'd get it from somebody. I was waiting for it. So it was a million years ago, so it doesn't count. So anyway, I grew up a country boy. We drank, we smoked pot, we did our thing, in the fields. But it was manageable, is what we did. Fast forward to my junior year in college, a couple of years later, I was in a motorcycle accident. I was hit by a drunk driver on my motorcycle over by Beaver Local High School. I was exposed to pain medicine. I was exposed to oxys. And something about those pills flipped a switch in me. And that's the only way I can describe it. I quickly learned that the oxys were doing more than just masking my physical pain. They were masking my emotional pain, my mental pain, my celebration. It became a tool for anything. And I quickly, my accident was in the end of the summer. I was a full-blown addict by Christmas. It happened that quick. I got into it thinking they're prescriptions, how hard can it be? Next thing I know, I'm looking in the mirror, realizing I'm dope sick and trying to think who I can call to get some pills. A short time after that, it started to trend towards heroin. On my very first drug run down to Steubenville, we were with a group of people going down to buy some dope, and a man lost his life. He was robbed and shot 6 times in the face right around the corner from us. We heard it, we watched him stumble back, we watched him hit the ground. Most terrifying thing I'd ever seen. And sadly, that would just be the first, that became a trend. That became something that, it wasn't the first fatality I saw. So, in my early 20s, I was in a police chase. I ran from the cops in a car, and I don't recommend it. But that's when I first became a felon. I got 3 felonies right off the bat. I was incarcerated for 2 years. My family didn't know what to do, They were church people, spiritual people. They just didn't understand why I was acting this way. I wasn't brought up this way, but I was not the son that they recognized. I was far from it. Did my 2 years, come out, got into some different counseling, went to some different detoxes. I just kept going back out. That transitioned into shooting heroin, which then I almost lost my left arm. I have a huge scar running down my bicep. A needle broke off, went underneath my bicep. You'd think that would be enough to deter a sane person. And I just kept going back out and going back out. So finally, things kind of came to a screeching halt. In 2017, our area was impacted by fentanyl. Very quickly, there was no longer real heroin here. It was becoming fentanyl. I'm sure you guys have heard of fentanyl, Fetty. It's a synthetic opioid. It's super potent. I mean, just the most minute amount would kill you. And I died 3 times in the summer of 2017, to where they had to perform life-saving measures and administer copious amounts of Narcan. When you hear people say, how many times should I Narcan somebody? What's too much? It's not. I'm here because of it. I'm here because of good first responders and officers that saved my life. So the last time it got me, I was put in the ICU in East Liverpool Hospital. I was in there for 5 days. And across from me, there was a gentleman that had also been in overdose, but he was on life support. My second night there, I could hear the nurses sort of huddled around the nurse station, and they were crying and talking, and here what they were doing was calling this gentleman's family. If they could just get one person to come in, they could keep him on life support a little longer. I heard him talk to his mom, his sister. I heard him calling cousins and aunts and uncles. No one would come in for this guy. They ended up taking him off, and he passed away. They covered him up, and they left him there for about 2 hours. So I remember that guy's name. I carry that with me all the time. That was my moment where that switch flipped back. I had the, oh shit, this is me, the man in the mirror moment. I had hit my rock bottom. So I knew then that I had to change. Everything was gone, my possessions, my loved ones, my family, my relationships, everything. So I had to start from scratch. We call this resilience. You hit a life event where something's got to change. You realize you need help. You realize you need to ask for help. You start building what we call resiliency. Resiliency we turn into perseverance. Perseverance is when you set goals. No matter what's in front of you, you attain that goal. And we do small goals. No huge victories. We do little steps. So anyway, I started combining programs. These Liverpool officers that came to my first overdose had hooked my family up with a gentleman that had been kind of working with people in similar situations to me. He was what we would call a peer, just like we are. So I humored him and I called him, and when he answered, he was all dude, buddy, and man. And I was like, hey, this is a country boy. I can talk to him. It's not some asshole clinician. That's where my mind was at the time. And I learned a lot going through the process. The clinicians, peer supporters, counselors, school counselors, teachers, officers, these are all valuable resources. You guys, do not be afraid to approach these people. They are wonderful, and they are here to truly help you be the best version that you can be of yourself. So I combined some stuff. I did a spiritual program. I did for the court, I did what they call a medicated assisted treatment program. So that's counseling with a form of medication. So I'd already done methadone and messed it up. It took my teeth. That's all I got from it. I did Suboxone. I learned how to manipulate that very quickly. But when I found getting my spirituality right and getting a program that worked for me, which was Vivitrol, which is a blocker, I finally got some freedom. I could build some traction. So I started building that perseverance. So I had 3 court cases across 2 states, so I had to overcome that. I was on house arrest. I had to overcome that. I had to get my license. I had to go through these steps. But I realized that idiocracy I had in me when I was too stupid to live but too stubborn to die, I started using that for good. So I started turning my weaknesses to strengths, basically. And I had a lot of good people in the way that I encountered. So I, through the faith-based program, had to go to church. And since I was on house arrest, I decided to go with my parents. And I was introduced to this gentleman who was losing his daughter to alcohol cirrhosis of the liver, and she was very young. And she's sitting there today, and she's my wife. But we'll let her tell that part of her story. So anyway, I got involved with the faith-based stuff. I got involved with our court system. I started ice skating uphill, and it started bearing fruit. I started seeing things. I was taking care of my court stuff. They were actually acknowledging the strides I was making. So today I'm over 7.5 years into my recovery. I've been working in the crisis unit for coming up to 3 years. But I was blessed to receive this opportunity because a friend of my family who works for our Mental Health and Recovery Services Board had been following my progress. And once I'd passed my 4-year clean mark, she approached me about building and becoming a part of what they called the Columbiana County Mobile Crisis Response Unit. And what that team. I keep saying unit and I get in trouble for it. we're a team. So 3 years and I still can't keep that shit straight if that doesn't tell you anything. But I get to work with these fine people. We get to go out on crisis calls, which is very hard, but we're there because we've been there ourselves. I drive fast and I'm good at crisis. I knew those two things. Those were my strengths. So I got to build off those. And so I'm sorry, I drive spiritedly, not fast. I'm a car guy, but we started working in this county and just addressing crisis. And all you guys that put your hands up, I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here for the people that are hurting, the families, the people that are in it, anyone affected by it. You literally become a prisoner to this. When Jamie was sick, a nurse had told me one sick person can take out 4 healthy people. So that shows you the drain and the cost that this stuff has. So I want to turn this over to these guys. I know we're a little pressed for time, but I just want to implore you guys that there's tons of resources out there. We're all here to try and help you be the best versions of yourself. Reach out to Officer Butler. Reach out to a lot of your teachers. Poor Mr. Davis, wherever he's at in here, he used to have to arrest me, so he could tell you what it looks like to be from where I was to where I am. We have a lot of wonderful resources for youth in our county. We have a lot of wonderful resources in our county, period, that people just aren't aware of. And that actually leads me to the one thing I wanted to leave you guys with. I want you guys to remember 3 digits for me, and that's 988. Have you guys heard of 988? 988 Help Networks. Yes, so 988, they have a text line, they have a call line. They're a wonderful resource for if you guys just need someone to speak to or talk to. Another good one's 211. 211's an information resource. If you're looking for anything, 211's another good resource.